Hey guys, welcome to Speedbuild. My name is Chris and this is my first attempt at a YouTube video. Full disclosure here at the start, my nationality is Danish and English is not my first language, so if I butcher some words, I'm sorry, but that's the price of learning, I guess. I actually did this build quite differently than I usually do, because normally you'd build the exterior first and then the interior. But it's kind of a mishmash of things and I kind of just jump around. It made it a little bit difficult to edit because there are some things you'd usually take out, like floor planning and some of the more boring stuff like decorating a bathroom. Since this is all over the place, that was not as easy to do, so this is going to be a slightly long video. If that's not your taste, you can of course skip around, but I feel like I did my best to make this videos short and sweet, even though, I didn't exactly succeed at it. So this house starts out quite small, but then I realized that the family I intended to move in was going to be bigger, so I changed that a little bit, so the house kind of grows. And I had so many issues with choosing the railing for this, because in The Sims 4 there is literally no railing that makes sense indoors. At least not in a semi-modern home. So that's always interesting. Just working on the upstairs, because I decided that there should be a landing area. So, you can tell what I mean about being all over the place at this point. Working on the entrance. I don't know. No, really, this is just my first time doing this, so commentary might lack a little bit of flair or something. But it's a pretty straightforward build, I think, and there is room for. I think it ends up being room for 8 Sims. If you have a situation where every sim can sleep in the same bed. Otherwise there's room for, I don't know, you can look at the the video and find out for yourself, but I ended up making this the home for my couple, Ryland and Kea, as well as their child, Selena, and their 2 twin boys who are currently toddlers, Wesley and Drew. There's also room for Ryland's parents. So it's quite a big house actually, and I really enjoyed making it. This isn't usually my style, because personally I like sharp contrasts and not necessarily very modern. But it was nice and it was fun to build, and it definitely suited the characters that I was making. So it suited the family, but not necessarily me. Just making a laundry area, because I feel like entrance rooms I could really use a dishwasher or not a dishwasher, oh my god, a washing machine and a dryer. But you don't have that, so you just kind of have to make the appearance with the baskets of clothes. Yeah, just making it feel like a home with some detailing, and beginning on what's going to be the rumpus room and the adjacent kitchen. Yeah, it's not mind-boggling and everything's there that's supposed to be there. Just adding the living room there, and working on the outside of the house for a little bit. I'm gonna stop doing that real quickly again, because I have no order in which I'm doing this. Adding a bathroom to the upstairs. So it's actually, I really like the color scheme on this build with the blue and the white, and just it's kind of nice actually, because it's colorful but still muted, so it's not really in your face colorful, and there's not that many things happening. Just working on the lighting outside, You know, I feel like I forget that a lot, but it looks really good if the house is lit properly outside. Yeah, so I'm just making a barbecue area. You know, the utensils you'd need for that. Adding some lighting. That's going to be a deck that's accessible from the kitchen as well. I actually really end up liking the kitchen, but it was difficult to get the things in that I wanted because most of the wall space was actually covered in windows. You'll see that in a second. So yeah, I just end up moving things around a lot until I figure out what I want to do. And removing that door again. Yeah, so this is the less exciting part of picking out wall colors, because that took me a while. Just, you know, getting some coherent rooms, and I really like, you know, matching the wall colors from different elements of the house, especially when it's you know, really open plan and there's no actual really concept of doors on the first floor. This is not the first floor, it's the... yeah, well, anyway, I'm just figuring out the flooring here, and you know, I'm going to move that table because, you know, I find out that there is literally no counter space in this massive kitchen. Such a big room and literally nowhere to chop up your food, so the table has to go somewhere else. Adding some more counter space, it makes a lot more sense like this, because, you know, it's a really big room, and if you only had like 2 places to chop up, and it would kind of, you know, you'd call it a lack of space, I feel like. So, you know, just adding the different parts from the Parenthood stuff pack, I think it's called. Yeah, so I really like that pack, especially because of the fridge, and, you know, the fact that it has siding and it's built in and it makes sense next to a counter. That's really nice. It's the first one, and I really hope they continue making the fridges like that, because it makes it so much easier. Usually I always have to use walls, which is fine, but most of the time I feel like it gets a little bit blocky. Or, you know, if it's a really simple kitchen, 2 walls can kind of throw off the balance and make it look really crowded really quickly, I feel. So, you know, just working on the rumpus room again. I think we're gonna put in 2 desks, one with a computer and one for homework, since most of the occupants of the house are going to be children. So yeah, pretty basic stuff. I decided not to use, you know, an insanely expensive computer, because I wanted this house to feel like, you know, a realistic family home, kind of. So you probably wouldn't have, you know, a see-through computer. So, you know, just adding some nice, colorful details. I feel like that's, you know, one of the things that you can definitely do in spaces allocated for children. You can also, of course, do that for adults, but I feel like it's, you know, common to do with children's rooms and areas in general. Yeah, so, you know, there's toddlers here as well, so we're just, you know, making room for both the child and the toddlers, making it look lived in the good way, you know, not dirty, but just, you know, a little cluttered. And working on the outside, we're just gonna put in a seating area, and I think there's going to be a couch as well. Working on some ivy. I know, I actually really like the ivy from the vampire pack, because of the roots it has at the bottom. They're really useful. They're useful to make the ivy look like it's actually coming up from somewhere, instead of just, you know, starting out as this massive cluster of green. You know, that might not have been the best placement for it, you know, trying to make it look like it had roots on the deck, but it's still, you know, it looks cool. So, you know, we make the closest thing we can to realism in Sims sometimes, and sometimes we just disregard it completely. But, you know, that's fine. adding some windows and, you know, general details. And I had a lot of trouble making those windows align, so that was, you know, a fun experience. This is, this is going to be the bathroom, the main bathroom, and the only bathroom on the downstairs. Yeah, I think there's going to be, there's going to be 4 bathrooms in total when I finish. And this house actually starts out being on a much larger plot than I end up having it on, because I move it later on and working on the living room. This is where I'm actually having the most trouble in the build, because I wanted it to look lived in but not, you know, too much, and I feel like you can easily overdo it. And then again, you know, if you don't make it have enough furniture or make enough decoration, it can look really bland, and I had a lot of trouble finding the balance in this room. But I think it ended up working out well, and my Sims are definitely enjoying the living room. I've been playing in this house for a while with the family I made it for, so I'm having a slight trouble remembering what I did where, especially because I actually started making this video a few weeks ago, but then I basically stopped and took a break because of the fact that maybe, you know, doing the voiceover for the build wasn't that easy. At least it wasn't easy for me, and I started doubting the way I pronounce things, and, you know, just generally thinking that my English wasn't good enough to do it, which is, you know, the internet can be a harsh place, so that's definitely still an option, but I feel like if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you're not going to really do a lot, and I feel like it could be a lot worse. I realize I'm gonna, you know, have some breaks here and there figuring out the words, and the pronunciation might be a bit off sometimes, but I feel like it's The Sims, and we're just so used to, you know, having room for everyone. So I feel like there's room for a bad English accent as well. Hopefully, otherwise I'm sure the internet will let me know. And I'm just working on, you know, a covered area outside, and I would know what this is in Danish, but I'm kind of, you know, not really remembering what that would be in English, but, you know, I know a pergola? No, that's with the beams, right? Well, anyways, I'm working on the outside, and I'm gonna put a chess table into the covered area later on, working on what's going to be the twins rooms and the, you know, layout in general for the upstairs, figuring out how I want the windows, and I like having large windows in the you know, the general areas of the home, and then changing it a little bit on the upstairs, because I feel like it makes sense to have smaller windows upstairs, because, you know, that's the private area where you sleep, so you might not want a floor to ceiling height window. So, you know, maybe that's just me. I'm not a big fan of people in general being able to look inside. I don't know, I've always had that fear of, you know, people watching me when my blinds are up, so that's interesting. Maybe it's not that interesting, but it's been with me my entire life. So my friends, if they come around on the street outside, they're usually like, oh my god, your blinds are up. I can actually, you know, realize that you're home and not just sleeping all day. But yeah, so I guess I'm not much of a sunshine person, maybe a bit too private, but, you know, things happen. And this is where I took a break and realized that the house was going to be too small for the family that I intended it for. So we're just building what's it going to be the twins' room on the upstairs and the room for the parents, the grandparents downstairs. Yeah, so working on the roof again. I hate roofing in The Sims 4, but I actually feel like this ended up being pretty good. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but I feel like it's so easy to make it too simple or make it way too complicated way too fast. So this ended up being, decent. Yeah, decent. It's a decent roofing. I don't hate it, but I'm not like blown away. I feel like I've watched too many YouTubers like Hatsi just completely nail the roofing and just, I don't get it, I can't do it. And I don't know, I can't spend the time that, it would take to be good at it because I keep messing up and you just get annoyed. So, making it basic, nice and basic, there's nothing wrong with that. Putting out some more ivy and general decoration, more lighting outside. Most of the house is actually built now, and adding the bathroom for the grandparents. I don't know, I feel like this became a pretty long build, but I might get better at shortening them later on. Oh, I really like the yellow wall in here. It's so bright and colorful and works so well with the gray. I got really happy when I figured out that the is it skirting it's called, or is it borders? The line, the white line at the bottom of the wall. Yeah, those match with the ones from the toddler update. I think the ombre effect wallpaper. I'm just building my own rock here, and I actually really ended up liking that. I haven't done that before, and I didn't realize I could, so I got really excited when I figured out that you can layer the rocks. And I feel like when I say rock, it sounds like, the stone and not so much like the fuzzy cover bit, which is funny because I haven't actually really thought about that before, but I guess you get really self-conscious when you realize that other people are going to hear what you're saying and be able to criticize you for it. But I actually feel like it's gonna be fine. I can handle a little bit of criticism, and I think most people don't really mind. If they do, they probably have turned the volume down anyways at this point. So who knows? I might not be annoying anyone with my lack of words here. I really liked the bathrooms in this house, which is, usually I just make it like a 2x3 and fit in the basics and move on because, bathrooms are boring. But I actually made an effort to, put in toothbrushes and, make it look like people, actually use them. I don't know, I've never actually had, toothbrushes sitting on the counter like that. So that's I don't know why I think that that's going to symbolize that people use the bathroom. But, that's fine. I don't know, I'm not gonna, overanalyze that too much. I'm just figuring out the bed situation, because if you need a clean bed that's semi-modern, it's also going to be a problem sometimes. I feel like I use that bed way too much, but, just the cover and the bed frame makes so much sense for most homes, so I really like that one. I'm so happy every time I get a new bed because yay, more options for the bedrooms and for the layout, not the layout but the general style and the color combinations. And working on the master bathroom, I think I did, a reasonable job of cutting away all the way too boring parts of the bathrooms, but, they always... I feel like bathrooms in a house that you can tell has been built recently, most of the counters are the same, and the fixtures and the plumbing in general. Maybe it's not, yeah, most of those are normally the same or similar. because you're building at the same time, and you find this, you know, one thing you like, and you just keep it going because, you know, it's a bathroom and no one really, you know, you want a nice bathroom, but it's not the same as like your kitchen. You only have the one, and with the bathrooms you might have more than the one. I don't know if I'm rambling now, but you know what, this time I'm not gonna overanalyze my voiceover, because I've been doing this, no kidding, 30 times about. I kept freezing, and I kept worrying, and, you know, thinking, oh no, this is not good enough, and I just think, you know, you really just have to get out of your comfort zone and just do it and not worry too much, and you're gonna figure it out eventually. So trial and error here, and we're just gonna power through and be okay with the fact that I make mistakes, and that's, you know, human. So I'm just finishing up the oldest child's room. Selena is going to live there. I don't know, I actually ended up really liking that color scheme. Usually I'm more of a strong colored contrast. I like, you know, the stronger contrast is what I'm trying to say here, but the pastels and the really soft colors actually worked really well in that room. So I'm just, you know, making a computer area on the landing. I realized that there wasn't really many computers in the house when you think about how many people are going to be living here. And that sounds, you know, stupid, because in my mind one computer should be enough. But in the Sims 4 gameplay, you really need that computer a lot, I think. For, you know, your careers and what you're going to do, and a lot of skill building actually happens on the computer. And there's a lot of, yeah, you know, you generally just use it more, I feel like, in the Sims 4. So, you know, gotta keep that in mind when you're building, otherwise you're going to be annoyed throughout the gameplay. And I really like those mirrors, especially in the dusty colorways, and the slightly ruined textures are really cool too. I really like when the Sims 4 adds those in, add those in as well. Yeah, so just, you know, making a bathroom, it's really not that exciting. I could probably have cut this out when I think about it, but well, on to the twins room. And this is twin boys, and I actually make this pretty stereotypical boys room with the blue and the, you know, just the blue and the general feeling of, you know, a kid's boy room with the matching furniture. Everything is pretty much blue in the beginning. I don't really like stereotypes like that, but I feel like the color scheme actually ended up working really great, and sometimes you can't just, you know, say, oh, this is a stereotype and you shouldn't do that, because, you know, maybe they like blue, who knows, and if they've been girls I would probably have kept it blue anyways. But I don't know, I feel like people get really on the it gets on a lot of people's nerves, I feel, which is funny to me, because most of the time I just decide that that's not, you know, an issue that I need to spend time on. I don't know, people just, it's a color in a room, to be completely honest. It gets to be a bit much sometimes. But I don't know, I don't really know what the issue is there. I think the actual issue is that, you know, if a boy was in a room and he wanted a pink wall and he couldn't have it because he was a boy, I guess that's where the issue is. But I don't know, I really liked this, and oh, this made a total ramble. Well, it's a nice kids room, and you could definitely have this for girls as well. It doesn't have to be gender specific like that, which I feel like there's a tendency to make it. Maybe I just, you know, made that. Oh, it's too much of a ramble. You know what, I'm not gonna keep going on with this. Just working on the balconies, figuring out that the roofing could get a little bit better. Yeah, I think we're pretty close to some of the landscaping now. I just moved the house to a smaller lot because I felt like I was originally going to build 2 different houses here, but I couldn't have the amount of Sims that I wanted on the plot anyways, so we just decided to move it. I just decided to move it to a smaller plot. And working on the landscaping here, I didn't. I put in a few cuts so that you wouldn't have to watch the entire thing, because I feel like placing plants aren't really the most interesting thing. If you have an interest in how I do it, you can probably tell or ask, and I'll make something more in depth. But I feel like I'm not the best Sims 4 gardener out there. There's definitely people more qualified to tell you about how to landscape in The Sims 4. Just remember the dirt on the plants basically, and wing it, hope for the best. Add or remove until it works out for you. Just putting in the the chess table that I talked about. I actually really like this outdoor space, and I really like having elements that you can do outside, because I have this tendency for my families to just stay up cooped up in their home and not really going anywhere except work, which is a boring life when you think about it. So I think it's nice to give that option, and I think the video is going to end here really soon with the pictures, so I'm gonna leave it here. I hope you enjoyed the build, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!